Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Bulan J. Up next on the GM, we're going to be discussing week 2 of the Baltimore Ravens preseason versus the Washington Commanders. It's moving day. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it is your first time watching the GM, hit subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So it's moving day. Belanger, what are you talking about now? Well, I'm glad you asked. Moving day for me means that there are going to be some guys today who perform well in tonight's matchup who will lock up their roster spot, meaning they'll move onto the roster. There will be some guys today who will move off of the Baltimore Ravens roster. I believe that there's about 48 roster locks. Okay. That's including the new additions of Ronald Darby, Jadeveon Clowney, guys like that, which means there's 5 positions possibly up for grab. Those positions are probably going to be out at the cornerback position. It's going to be at the edge rush position. It's going to be at the running back position, and it's going to be at the wide receiver position. And so we'll talk about who may become a roster lock versus just a hopeful. Now let's be honest. Some guys who would have been roster hopefuls will become locks just because of the vast amount of injuries that we have at certain positions and what kind of timetable these guys have for recovery. We understand that Marlon Humphreys is going to be out for a while. Not sure of the status of Tyus Bowser. Not sure of the status of guys like Arthur Millette. I looked just a little bit ago, and JAD did not have a injury designation. That could have just been an oversight on ESPN's website. I don't know, but that would be cool if he's not injured. So on and so forth. But some guys to watch tonight, I believe, starts with no other than Keaton Mitchell. I believe Keaton Mitchell gets about 20 touches tonight between carries and also catching the ball. Why would I say he gets that kind of volume of touches? Well, I don't believe we'll see J.K. Dobbins. I don't believe we'll see Gus Edwards. Not tonight. We saw him in game 1. And so that leaves Justice Hill, that leaves Melvin Gordon, and that leaves Keaton Mitchell. We understand by now what Justice Hill is. Okay. He's a lock on this roster. Okay. So it comes down to Melvin Gordon, who right now is listed ahead of Keaton Mitchell on the unofficial depth chart, and then, of course, Mitchell. And I think that Mitchell has um, the most work to do to get onto this roster. But I think with a nice performance tonight, I think he can leapfrog Melvin Gordon and get onto this roster, meaning lock up a spot tonight. Because Keaton Mitchell, as I've said before, as many people have said before, he offers something that no other Baltimore Ravens running back offers, and that's that elite level speed, quickness, and deep threat ability out of the backfield. And so I certainly think with a big time performance, he can lock up a roster spot because we know what Melvin Gordon is by this point in his career, right? He's a good back, still has some gas in the tank. But I think that Keaton Mitchell has a lot more upside. And I think that he's a home run hitter anytime he get the ball in his hands, even though we haven't seen it, right? But I think a big performance tonight will showcase that. So I think he has about 20 touches. All right. So Keaton Mitchell first got to keep an eye on tonight. Another guy to keep an eye on tonight is going to be Travis, the tight end. I don't know his I don't know his last name or how to pronounce it. I know it begins with a V. So forgive me, Travis, if you catch this video, but I think he could make enough noise not to lock up a spot, but to become more of a hopeful. I think he came into this camp as a hopeless, but I think he could become hopeful tonight with another nice performance. Um, and the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff catches um, attention to him. So I think he could be a guy who moves up um, into the Baltimore Ravens viewing range, so to speak. Okay. But different than Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell has a chance to lock up a roster spot. Travis V just has the potential to become a hopeful. Okay. If we jump outside to the wide receiver position, I think like I said earlier this week in a video, that competition is Tylan Wallace, Tyreek Black, and also Laquan Treadwell. Guys like Sean Ryan, who's been making some noise, I think he can slide onto that practice squad if healthy. Shamar Bridges, we hadn't heard from him at all. And like Makai Polk, Dante Demas, they just haven't done anything. And so I think it's too late in training camp and preseason for them to make a real push for this roster. So I think it's Wallace, Black, and Treadwell. And right now, Treadwell leads this competition. He's made the most plays um, downfield, being a deep threat. He's moved the chains, and he's a good special teams player. And so I think that he's has that lead. But I think that Wallace and Black with nice performances tonight, and I think they will get an opportunity because I know we won't see Odell. I know we won't see Rashad Bateman. We may see a little bit of Duvernay. We may see a little bit of Zay. But I think it's going to be those spots 6 and beyond. They get that run tonight. And I think with a big performance, one of these guys can leapfrog the others and create a lock. I think Treadwell can lock up a spot. I think Wallace could lock up a spot because he's familiar with the Ravens. The Ravens are familiar with him. But I think Tariq Black, with a nice performance, could get himself back into position. But right now, I think Laquan Treadwell, with a nice performance, locks up his spot tonight. When we jump to the defensive side of the ball, there's a lot of competition at some positions. I think at the defensive edge or outside linebacker position, I think Malik Ham and Jeremiah Moon are competing against one another for that final spot, especially with the addition of Jadeveon Clowney, which lessens one of those available spots. They both could make the roster if Tyus Bowser doesn't have a return soon. He goes on the PUP list. I don't know, but I think if it comes down to the competition and Malik Ham has another good performance, he's been balling for the last week and a half now. Practice, preseason, practice again, and now another preseason game. If he shows up tonight, I think he locks up a roster spot because he's actually outperformed the fourth round rookie, Tavius Robinson. So I think Malik Ham, with a nice performance tonight, could lock up a roster spot. So keep your eyes on him. Okay. I think when we jump to the inside linebacker position, I think this competition is basically sold up. I think Delshon Phillips has sold up his spot. But if there's any glimmer of hope that Christian Welch or Josh Ross could get back into this competition, it has to be done tonight. But I think Delshon Phillips locks it up, solves it up, and locks them guys out. He locks them guys out of the locker room with a steady performance tonight. I think Delshon Phillips can do that tonight with a good performance, locking up his roster spot. And then when we jump to the secondary, I think the safety room is pretty much set. So when we go to the cornerback room, I think that there's a lot of question marks in there. We have some depth there, not elite level depth, but I think a lot of depth we have at the cornerback position. The questions I think are because of injury, of course. We don't know like the status of Arthur Millette. We don't know if JD will play or not. JD is gonna make the roster, so I'm not even mentioning him like he's gonna lock up a spot or anything like that. But I think the guys who are competing for a roster spot are going to be Darius Washington, which I think with a nice performance tonight, he locks himself into that nickel cornerback position. I think he does that tonight. Um, I think that uh, a guy I'm going to be watching is going to be DeAndre Houston Carter, a guy the Baltimore Ravens picked up not too long ago. And he has a lot of versatility to his game. I'm not saying he's elite by any means, but because he's so versatile, he is a good player. He can play both safety and corner. He's long at 6'1", plus 200 plus pounds. And so I think that with a good performance, a good solid performance, he locks himself into a roster spot tonight. Just because he has played well. I was looking at some statistics from his last games he played last year. He's always around the ball. He will come up and make a tackle. Um, and he's not afraid. He's kind of gritty, like Daryl Worley and Kayvon Seymour. Maybe not great at anything, but we'll fight you. We'll compete, that kind of thing. And so I think that he, with a good performance, locks up a roster spot, because I think that it's too late in the season to keep waiting on these other guys to get healthy. I think we have to begin to set our roster, um, so that we can, get in week one mode, right? I know that there's another preseason game left, but I think that these guys that I mentioned, DeAndre Houston Carter, Malik Ham, Delshon Phillips, um, Keaton Mitchell, and also Laquan Treadwell. I think those are some guys who could lock up a spot tonight. Let me know who you guys have got you guys eyes on. Let me know who you guys believe could lock up something tonight with a great performance. I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.